While most of America slept last night, 3 simultaneous events unfolded that would shake the foundations of Washington's regulatory machine. Inside X headquarters in Austin, Elon Musk reviewed a 247-page classified dossier that would turn the tables on the Federal Trade Commission. At the same moment, in a secure conference room within the Department of Justice, emergency calls were being made. And in her Georgetown office, FTC Chair Lina received a message that made her blood run cold. What you're about to discover reveals how the man they tried to destroy just launched the most devastating counterattack in American regulatory history, and why the next 72 hours will determine whether Washington's elite power structure survives or crumbles. Early yesterday morning, Elon Musk sat alone in his Austin office, the glow of multiple monitors illuminating his face. For 18 months, the FTC under Lina had systematically targeted every single one of his companies. X faced endless investigations over alleged advertising collusion. Tesla was buried under NHTSA probes that seemed to multiply without justification. SpaceX battled FAA restrictions that delayed critical launches by months. Neuralink confronted FDA roadblocks designed to suffocate innovation before it could reach patients who desperately needed it. The pattern was unmistakable. This wasn't regulation. This was coordinated destruction. Musk's legal team had spent 11 months quietly building something unprecedented. They called it Operation Mirror. The strategy was simple but lethal. Document every instance of regulatory overreach, every politically motivated investigation, every communication between Khan's FTC and progressive advocacy groups. Build an ironclad case proving the Federal Trade Commission had been weaponized not to protect consumers, but to punish political enemies. And then release everything at once, in a moment when Khan would be most vulnerable. That moment arrived this week. Inside FTC headquarters in Washington, D.C. just hours ago, Lina convened an emergency meeting with her senior staff. The agenda: finalize the framework for the most aggressive action yet against Musk's empire. The target was X, Musk's social media platform. Khan had received intelligence from Media Matters and the Global Alliance for Responsible Media suggesting that X was facilitating harmful content and coordinated misinformation. Her plan was to issue a civil investigative demand so broad it would give the FTC access to every internal communication, every algorithm detail, every piece of data X possessed. "We move on this immediately," Khan told her assembled directors. "I want full subpoena power activated by end of week. No appeals, no delays." One of her deputies raised a concern about timing, noting that Andrew Ferguson, the incoming FTC chairman under Trump's administration, had publicly criticized her aggressive tactics. Khan dismissed the worry with a wave of her hand. "We still have time. That's more than enough to lock Musk down permanently." She had no idea that at that exact moment, in a federal courthouse in Austin, Musk's legal team was filing a 312-page lawsuit against the FTC, the Department of Justice, and Lina personally. The document was devastating. It detailed 47 specific instances where the FTC had launched investigations not based on consumer harm, but on political ideology. It included internal FTC emails obtained through whistleblowers showing direct coordination with left-wing advocacy groups. It presented statistical analysis proving that under Khan's leadership, the FTC had targeted conservative-leaning companies at a rate 600% higher than progressive ones. And most damaging of all, it included recordings of private calls between Khan's staff and officials in Gavin Newsom's California government, discussing strategies to make Musk's life hell in every jurisdiction possible. Within hours, news of the lawsuit exploded across social media. X itself became the distribution platform for the bombshell. Musk posted a simple message: The tyrants always reveal themselves. Today we reveal them back. Attached was a link to the full court filing, made public for anyone to read. Within 2 hours, it had been viewed 47 million times. That same afternoon, inside a secure facility in Mar-a-Lago, President-elect Donald Trump was briefed on the situation by his incoming Attorney General. Trump's response was immediate and unambiguous. Lina Khan has been a disaster. She's used federal power like a weapon. When I take office, this ends. But Musk shouldn't have to wait. Get Ferguson on the phone. I want him prepared to shut down every bogus investigation the second he's sworn in. Trump's team moved quickly. By late afternoon, Andrew Ferguson, the Republican FTC commissioner set to replace Khan, issued a public statement that sent shockwaves through Washington. The era of weaponized regulation is over. The FTC exists to protect consumers, not to punish success. I have reviewed preliminary information related to this lawsuit, and I am deeply concerned about what it reveals. When I assume the chairmanship, my first action will be to conduct a comprehensive audit of every active FTC investigation to ensure they meet constitutional standards of fairness and due process. The message was clear. Lina Khan's reign of regulatory terror had an expiration date, and that date was now visible on the calendar. The countdown had begun. Inside her Georgetown office just hours later, Lina Khan read Ferguson's statement 3 times. Her hands trembled slightly as she set down her phone. For the first time in her tenure, she felt something she hadn't experienced before. Genuine fear. Not fear of losing her position, that was inevitable with the incoming administration. But fear of something far worse. Legal liability. Musk's lawsuit didn't just target the institution, it named her personally, alleging conspiracy to deprive citizens of civil rights under color of law. If that charge stuck, she wouldn't just lose her job, she could face criminal prosecution. Her deputy director entered without knocking. "Ma'am, we have a problem. 6 staff members from the Bureau of Consumer Protection just submitted formal declarations to the Inspector General. They're claiming they were ordered to prioritize investigations based on political criteria, not consumer harm. They're cooperating with Musk's legal team." Khan's face went pale. "Who?" "People we trusted. People who were in the room for the planning sessions." The fortress was collapsing from within. Just hours ago, the next shoe dropped. The House Oversight Committee, led by Republican Chairman James Comer, announced an emergency hearing scheduled for next week. The title? Weaponization of Federal Agencies, Examining Regulatory Abuse under Lina Khan's FTC. Musk was invited to testify. So was Khan, though her invitation was technically a subpoena. By evening, legal analysts on cable news were unanimous in their assessment. "This is unprecedented," said a former federal prosecutor on Fox News. "Musk has basically accused the federal government of running a protection racket, and the evidence he's presented is substantial enough that a federal judge has already agreed to fast-track discovery. Khan is going to have to turn over internal communications, and if those emails show what Musk claims they show, this could be the biggest regulatory scandal in 50 years. Late last night in Sacramento, California Governor Gavin Newsom watched the news coverage with growing alarm. His name appeared 17 times in Musk's lawsuit. The documents showed that his administration had worked closely with Khan's FTC to create a multi-jurisdictional pressure campaign against Musk's companies. California would investigate labor practices at Tesla. The FTC would probe X's data policies. The SEC would examine Musk's Tesla compensation. The FAA would slow-walk SpaceX approvals. It was meant to be a coordinated siege, designed to break Musk financially and reputationally. Now it was all exposed. And Newsom's presidential ambitions for 2028 suddenly looked far more complicated. Newsom picked up his phone and called his chief legal counsel. How exposed are we? The answer was not comforting. Very. If discovery proceeds, they're going to get our emails with FTC staff. And some of those emails are explicit about intent. Newsom hung up without another word. For the first time in his political career, he wondered if he'd finally picked a fight with someone who could actually win. Behind closed doors at FTC headquarters last night, Lina sat in her darkened office, staring at the federal lawsuit filing on her laptop screen. She reached the section detailing potential penalties, civil damages in the hundreds of millions, possible criminal referral to the Department of Justice under the next administration, immediate injunctions blocking ongoing investigations pending judicial review. Her phone buzzed. A text from an old colleague at Columbia Law School. "Lina, this is bad. You need a serious legal defense team, not just agency counsel. Call me." She didn't call. Instead, she did something she rarely allowed herself to do. She questioned whether she'd gone too far, whether her crusade to rein in big tech and billionaire power had blinded her to the constitutional limits of her authority, whether, in her zeal to be a progressive champion, she'd become the very thing she claimed to fight, an unaccountable wielder of government power. Late last night, Elon Musk posted again on X. "The people who've spent years trying to destroy me made one critical mistake. They assumed I'd just accept it. They assumed I'd stay silent while they used federal agencies as political weapons. They were wrong. This is only the beginning. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Let's see how much they can tolerate." The post received 12 million views in 20 minutes. By this morning, the political earthquake was undeniable. Senator Rand Paul announced he would introduce legislation to reform the FTC's investigative powers, requiring probable cause standards before civil investigative demands could be issued. Senator Ted Cruz called for Khan's immediate resignation. Even some Democrats began to distance themselves. Senator Mark Warner, a moderate who'd previously praised Khan, issued a carefully worded statement calling for appropriate oversight to ensure regulatory actions are based on law, not politics. The walls were closing in. Documents leaked to the press this afternoon revealed even more damaging details. Internal FTC memos showed that Khan's team had established a dedicated task force, nicknamed Project Curtail, with the explicit mission of finding legal justification to restrict Musk's business operations. One memo, dated from several months ago, included the phrase, "Our goal is not just enforcement, it's deterrence through exhaustion. Make compliance so expensive and time-consuming that expansion becomes impossible." Another leaked document showed an exchange between an FTC senior counsel and a policy advisor in Newsom's office. The FTC official wrote, "We can't find a consumer harm angle that would survive court challenge. Do you have anything from the California side we can use as predicate?" The response from Newsom's team, "We're working on manufacturing something. Give us 2 weeks." Manufacturing. The word hung in the air like an indictment. Legal experts began examining what this meant for the broader regulatory state. "If Musk prevails in this lawsuit," said a constitutional law professor at Georgetown, "it could fundamentally reshape how federal agencies operate. Right now, agencies like the FTC have enormous discretion. They can launch investigations with minimal oversight. If courts rule that Khan violated Musk's constitutional rights through selective enforcement, it creates precedent that could protect every American from politically motivated regulatory abuse." The stakes were suddenly much larger than one billionaire's fight with one agency. Over the past 24 hours, a pattern emerged on social media. The hashtag #FreeSpeechNotFreeFall began trending, pushed by millions of users who saw Musk's battle as their own. Small business owners shared stories of being crushed by regulatory overreach. Tech entrepreneurs posted about investigations that seemed designed to punish rather than protect. A movement was forming, and it was angry. In a conference room at X headquarters yesterday afternoon, Musk met with his core legal team. The lead attorney laid out the path forward. We have them. The discovery process alone will be devastating for Khan. Every email, every phone record, every coordination with outside groups, it's all going to come out. They'll try to settle to make this go away. We should be prepared for that offer. Musk leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. No settlement. Not this time. This isn't about money or even about my companies. This is about sending a message that you can't weaponize the federal government against people you disagree with. We take this all the way. Let every dirty secret come out. Let the American people see exactly how their institutions have been corrupted. The attorney nodded. Then we prepare for war. We're already at war, Musk replied. We just started fighting back. Behind the scenes, sources within the FTC confirmed that morale inside the agency has collapsed. Career staff who joined to do legitimate consumer protection work now find themselves caught in a political firestorm. Several senior officials have quietly begun reaching out to private sector law firms, updating their resumes, preparing for the inevitable collapse of Khan's leadership. The brain drain has started. An anonymous FTC economist leaked a letter to the press yesterday, signed by 43 agency employees. The letter expressed deep concern that the FTC had strayed from its mission and called for immediate reforms to restore institutional credibility. The letter carefully avoided naming Khan directly, but the implication was unmistakable. Her own staff was turning against her. In Brussels, officials at the European Commission watched the American drama unfold with mixed feelings. The EU had recently fined Musk's X platform $140 million over blue checkmark transparency issues, part of their own regulatory campaign against American tech giants. But the exposure of coordination between Khan's FTC and political operatives raised uncomfortable questions. Were European regulators being used as proxy weapons in American political battles? Had they been fed selective information designed to create international pressure on Musk? Ursula von der Leyen's office declined to comment, but sources inside the European Commission admitted privately that they were reviewing the relationship with certain American advocacy groups that had provided intelligence on X. The dominoes were falling globally. This morning, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, "Lina Khan represents everything wrong with the deep state. Unelected bureaucrats wielding unlimited power, answerable to no one, destroying American innovation to serve a political agenda. When I return to office, this ends immediately. Every agency will be audited, every abuse will be exposed, and people who violated their oaths will be held accountable. Elon is showing us the way. Transparency defeats tyranny." The post was shared 890,000 times in 4 hours. Meanwhile, Barack Obama remained conspicuously silent. Multiple sources confirmed that Obama had personally recommended Lina Khan for the FTC chairmanship during private conversations with Biden administration officials. Obama had praised Khan's aggressive stance toward big tech, calling her exactly the kind of bold thinker we need. Now, with Khan's tactics exposed as potentially illegal, Obama's fingerprints on her appointment created a political liability. His silence spoke volumes. Gavin Newsom, however, could not stay silent. Facing mounting pressure in California, he issued a statement yesterday afternoon attempting damage control. "My administration has always acted within the law to protect California consumers and workers. Any suggestion of improper coordination is false and will be proven false through the legal process." But Newsom's statement only drew more attention to the allegations. Within hours, the California GOP called for a state legislative investigation into Newsom's communications with federal agencies. If the governor used his office to collude with federal regulators to punish a political enemy, said Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher, that's an impeachable offense under California law. The political cost was mounting by the hour. Inside Lina Khan's inner circle, panic was setting in. Her chief of staff convened an emergency meeting of senior FTC leadership last night. The question on the table was simple. How do we survive this? The answers were not encouraging. Khan's trademark aggressive enforcement strategy, once celebrated by progressives as fearless antitrust action, now looked like reckless overreach. Her willingness to push legal boundaries, once praised as innovation, now appeared as lawlessness. "We need to shift the narrative," suggested one senior official. "Frame this as corporate retaliation against a regulator doing her job." But another official shook his head. "The problem is the evidence. Those emails are real. Those coordination calls with Newsom's people happened. We can't narrative our way out of documented proof." The room fell silent. At SpaceX headquarters in Boca Chica, Texas, engineers watched the news coverage between rocket tests. For years, they'd endured inexplicable FAA delays that seemed disconnected from actual safety concerns. Launch dates would slip months because of regulatory review processes that felt deliberately obstructive. Now, seeing the documented coordination between agencies to pressure Musk, everything made sense. They hadn't been paranoid. There really had been a coordinated campaign. "We've been working twice as hard to accomplish half as much," one engineer told a reporter, "because federal agencies were playing politics instead of doing their jobs. If this lawsuit changes that, it'll be the most important thing Elon ever did, more important than any rocket we've built." At Tesla's Fremont factory, the sentiment was identical. Workers who'd seen production targets missed because of regulatory delays, who'd watched expansion plans shelved because of investigation threats, who'd feared for their jobs because of government pressure on their employer, they all felt vindicated. The system really had been rigged. And now, finally, someone with the resources and courage to fight back was doing exactly that. In the last 48 hours, 17 members of Congress have publicly expressed support for Musk's lawsuit. 10 more have privately indicated they're waiting to see which way the political winds blow before committing. The calculation is simple. If Musk wins, being on his side positions them as defenders of fairness and constitutional rights. If Khan somehow survives, well, most of them never publicly opposed her anyway. This is how Washington works. Principles follow power. But there's a complication Khan didn't anticipate. The courts. The federal judge assigned to Musk's case is not a Trump appointee or a Republican partisan. She's a moderate jurist appointed by Bill Clinton, with a reputation for scrupulous adherence to constitutional law. And yesterday she issued a preliminary ruling that shocked legal observers. The judge granted Musk's motion for expedited discovery, agreeing that the evidence presented suggested a credible claim of selective enforcement that may rise to the level of constitutional violation. More importantly, she denied the government's motion to dismiss on qualified immunity grounds, ruling that if the allegations are proven true, no reasonable official could have believed such conduct was lawful. In legal terms, that's devastating. It means Khan can't hide behind the shield of official immunity. If Musk proves his case, she's personally liable. The judge's ruling changed everything. Suddenly, this wasn't a nuisance lawsuit that could be dragged out for years. This was an existential threat to Khan personally, moving on a fast track toward a trial that could expose everything. Late last night, a senior DOJ official reached out to Musk's legal team through a back channel. The message: what would it take to make this go away? The response was immediate and unambiguous. Nothing. Discovery proceeds. The truth comes out. No deals. The DOJ official pressed. You understand this could set precedents that make it harder for all agencies to do their jobs? Musk's attorney replied. Good. Maybe agencies should have to work harder to justify their actions. Maybe Americans deserve protection from weaponized bureaucracy. Maybe that's the point. The call ended without agreement. Throughout this unfolding drama, one thing has become crystal clear. This is not really about Elon Musk versus Lina Khan. This is about whether America's regulatory system serves the people or serves a political agenda. It's about whether federal agencies can target citizens based on ideology rather than law. It's about whether bureaucrats with immense power can operate without meaningful oversight. These are the questions that will define the next administration. These are the battles that will shape American governance for the next generation. And right now, in real time, we're watching the opening moves of a war that will determine the answer. Lina Khan sits in her office tonight, facing a reality she never imagined when she accepted this position. She came to Washington as a crusader, determined to break up big tech and restore competition to the American economy. She believed she was on the right side of history, fighting monopolies and protecting the little guy. But somewhere along the way, the crusade became a vendetta. The mission became personal, and the law became optional. Now, the reckoning has arrived. Elon Musk, meanwhile, is doing what he does best, attacking the problem from multiple angles simultaneously. The lawsuit is just one front. He's also mobilizing public opinion, using X to bypass traditional media and speak directly to millions. He's coordinating with congressional allies to launch legislative investigations. He's preparing testimony that will put Khan's entire tenure under microscopic scrutiny. And perhaps most effectively, he's simply publishing the evidence, letting Americans see for themselves what their government has been doing in their name. This is asymmetric warfare, and Musk is winning. Over the coming weeks, discovery will force the FTC to turn over thousands of internal documents. Congressional hearings will put Khan under oath to defend actions that look increasingly indefensible. And the incoming Trump administration will have both the authority and the motivation to clean house at every agency that engaged in politically motivated enforcement. The era of weaponized regulation is ending, not because Trump decreed it, not because Congress legislated it, but because one man decided he'd had enough and possessed both the resources and the will to fight back effectively. That's the power of what's happening right now. That's why Khan is in total disbelief. She never thought anyone would actually challenge the system this effectively. She was wrong. This story is not over. It's only beginning. The next 72 hours will bring more revelations, more leaked documents, more officials turning on each other to save themselves. The hearing next week will be explosive. The discovery process will be brutal. And through it all, the American people will be watching, learning exactly how their government really works when the cameras are off and the principles are negotiable. But here's what matters most. This is not just about Elon Musk anymore. This is about every entrepreneur who's been crushed by selective enforcement. Every business that's been destroyed by politically motivated investigations. Every American who's watched their government agencies operate like political weapons rather than public servants. This is about whether we still have a constitutional republic or whether we've devolved into a system where bureaucrats with agendas can target anyone they want without accountability. Elon Musk just proved something important. You can fight back. You can win. And when you expose the truth clearly enough, even the most powerful institutions in Washington can be brought to their knees. That's the message that's resonating across America right now. That's why millions are watching this unfold with hope instead of cynicism. That's why Lina Khan is sitting in her office tonight, staring at a future that looks very different from the one she imagined just days ago. The strike back is complete. The disbelief is total. And the battle for the soul of American governance has truly begun. This is not a story about personalities or politics. This is a story about power, accountability, and whether the law still means something in America. Over the coming weeks, we'll find out the answer. And that answer will determine what kind of country we're going to be. The truth is coming out. And the people who spent years trying to hide it are about to learn a very hard lesson. Sunlight really is the best disinfectant. And when you've been operating in darkness for too long, the light is blinding. Write in the comments, "Truth wins." Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because what's coming next will be even more explosive. The documents that drop next week will shake Washington to its core. The testimonies will be devastating, and the people who thought they were untouchable are about to discover they were very, very wrong. Share this video with 3 people who need to know what's really happening in America right now. Because the media won't tell this story the way it needs to be told. They're part of the system that's being exposed. You are the media now. Your voice matters. Your engagement keeps this truth alive. The algorithm tries to suppress stories like this. Prove them wrong. Let's make sure every American knows exactly what happened here. The battle for transparency has begun. And we're all part of it now.